first few. Glad your mom promoted you. Birth you, the first crew. I shot the 40, but I know the truth. We getting hard life, right? You get your money, stack it up, and then you take the part advantage. But you're losing any luck. But your borders for the cheddar. Gotta make it better. Focus on the change, whatever type of weather. Got the cars parked, secret indictment. Might wanna run, they shoot for your life. Cops cool, shot the school, that ain't right. Shot the contact, children in life. Fight, cops to the fame, got the proof. What can I rock?
What can I rock on this shit? What can I rock?
What can I rock?
What can I rock on this shit? What can I rock?
What can I rock?
What can I rock?
What can I rock? What can I rock?
Your tracks today.
This is jmusicbeats.com.
This is hour number 2 of the Doug Stewart Show, baby. Let's go.
Just talk about that. It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a strong rhyme to step to. Think of how many week shows I slept
Welcome
through.
back to the show. It's hour number 2. If you're new to the show, hour number 2, man, is where we do entertainment. So we got a little birthday segment coming up at the bottom of the hour, as well as a little conversation on entertainment, a couple of entertainment little stories. We'll get into that at the bottom of the hour. Hour number 3, we call it the Power Hour, where we focus on Stewie's chat post and the chat room and all of that, man, and really just kick back and have a good time. I mean, we do that the whole show, but we definitely do it in the third hour. (404-382-0338). You can also email me at doug@thedougstewartshow.com. NCAA Tournament going hot and heavy right now. Day 1 of action yesterday was very good. We got day 2 coming up today. Back to yesterday, man. Some of the highlights from yesterday's action. Mark Few's team led South Dakota State, talking about Gonzaga, a mid-table type Summit League team, 26-22 after 20 minutes. So a lot of people were thinking that maybe Gonzaga, every year Gonzaga's always at one of the top basketball teams in the country. They were the number 1 team for a lot of the rankings this year. And so a lot of people thought that they were fugazi. But such wasn't the case. They ultimately ended up winning that game by 20 points. Thursday was the first opening round since 2000 in which no underdog of more than 2 points managed to win. Right. So yesterday, everything stayed pretty much the status quo, unlike last year where you had a ton of upsets. How about what happened in the Vanderbilt game, man? Dude fouled at the very end of the game. What's his name? Matthew Fisher-Davis, Vanderbilt's most important player for the day. He had a team-high 22 points on 7 of 15 shooting. Completely lost track of the fact that his team was, in fact, winning the game. Right? So they scored at the very end to go ahead. And for some reason, this cat lost track of what was actually going on, Matthew Fisher-Davis. And then he fouled one of the players against Northwestern. And so, man, real tough one for Vanderbilt as they go down. They had a chance to win that thing. Guard Bryant McIntosh, just a crazy way. So, once again, Northwestern gets it done, but it wasn't easy. The Commodores didn't get a quality look at the end of the game, and that was it. So, it was a wrap. UCLA, we'll tell you what, we'll get into UCLA and Lonzo Ball and what we expect out of them today. There's a kid that plays for Northern Kentucky who actually I have kind of like a little inside story with or a backstory with. I'll tell you about that here in a second. But, right, today, the game you need to see that the experts are saying is going to be one of the best games today. You got the number 7 Dayton Flyers versus the number 10 Wichita State Shockers. The winner likely will get the opportunity to face Kentucky on Sunday. Kentucky should roll. Dayton coach Archie Miller might be auditioning also for a gig at Indiana. As you know, Crean was fired yesterday, or was it yesterday or maybe even the day before? The head coach of Indiana was fired. And so there's a lot of people who they're talking about. We're going to get to this Steve Alford story here in a second. Former Indiana Hoosier who won a national championship back in the day, and how his name has already come up. Players you need to watch today: Kentucky freshman guard Malik Monk. He's facing Northern Kentucky. That's right. Here's the thing about Northern Kentucky, as I just mentioned a couple of seconds ago. I want y'all to pay attention. I always talk about the relationships I have with players that are in college sports or in the NFL or whatever. Jordan Garnett. I want y'all to pay attention to Jordan Garnett. He's a starter for Northern Kentucky. His daddy is actually my homeboy. His name is Anthony Garnett. Played football with me in high school. Was on the team at South Carolina State when I was there as well. And so pay attention to this kid, Jordan Garnett. They actually grew up, or his kid here grew up in Indianapolis, I believe. But pay attention to him. He's a little tied to the low country, to the big city of Monk's going to South Carolina. So pay attention to that when Northern Kentucky takes on Kentucky this weekend. So Northern Kentucky won't beat Kentucky probably. But we'll see. We'll definitely keep our eye on that. That's one of the games that Northern Kentucky is one of those good teams, and you got Kentucky versus Northern Kentucky, so it's kind of like a rivalry type thing where it's really not. Kentucky, kind of up and down a little bit. They always have young guys. They always have a roster full of freshmen, because you know what they've done there over the last couple of years, Calipari. They've signed a bunch of McDonald's All-American, 5-star recruits, and those guys play for a year and then they're gone. So there's always a question about stability, I think, when you talk about Kentucky since Calipari's been there. So keep your eye on Northern Kentucky. Hopefully Northern Kentucky can shock the world. And this kid, Jordan Garnett, my homeboy's son, can get it done and move on to the next round. Probably ain't going to happen, but we rooting for it here on SME. Yeah. Oklahoma State will enter NCAA Tournament ranked first in adjusted offensive efficiency. The Cowboys, they could advance on Friday if you're talking about Oklahoma State. What else? Tulsa, the Tulsa region. The game you need to see, the Miami Hurricanes versus the Michigan State Spartans. Coach Tom Izzo and the Spartans are accustomed to being the favorites. This time around, they are underdogs in their first-round matchup against Miami. The high-flying Hurricanes have an outstanding senior in Devon Reed and a terrific freshman in Bruce Brown, who averages more than 11 points a game. So pay attention to that one. You got Miami taking on Michigan State. Michigan State usually is a team that's a 1 or a 2 seed. This year, a number 9 seed taking on the number 8 seed. That's not really a big game where you talk about one team is just overmatched over the other. That's 8 versus 9. But when we see Michigan State and Tom Izzo and the Spartans, usually they are 1 or 2 seed. This year, a little bit different for that program. What else? Best chance at an upset. That's right. Down 17 to Providence. The second half looked as if USC would end Wednesday in Dayton, Ohio. Instead, the 11th seeded Trojans rallied for the impeccable 75-71 win, setting up a rematch with number 6 SMU. So pay attention to that game. USC today in SMU. Let's see. One other thing I wanted to mention before we jump into this chat room on Spreaker.com. The game you have to see. Here's another game that a lot of people are talking about. Another 8 versus 9 seed as Arkansas, the Razorbacks, take on Seton Hall. This matchup features 2 of the most unheralded players in the nation. Seton Hall's 6'4" or 6'10" forward Angelo Delgado leads the nation in rebounding at 13.1 per game and is tied with Purdue's Caleb Swanigan and the nation's leading 26 double-doubles. The Razorbacks feature 6'10" Moses Kingsley, who led the SEC with 2.6 blocks per game. It will be a battle of big men, so pay attention to that matchup. Arkansas Razorbacks taking on the Seton Hall Pirates, the team that last year Vern picked to win the whole damn thing. Yeah. So let me read some of your messages in the chat room on Spreaker.com. Hour number 2 of the Doug Stewart Show. Look at the Stewies. See, this is what the Stewies do. Last night on the Kicking It With Kesey show, Kesey brought up the conversation we had on this show yesterday. Somehow, I don't know how, but somehow yesterday we was talking about public hairs. You know, pro or con against public hairs. And Kesey brought it up to his wife. I know it's pubic hairs. Kesey brought it up to his wife, and they had a conversation about that. I'm looking in this chat room right now. The Stewie's off the chain. I want to read this comment here in a second, but let me grab this call first. Caller, thanks for calling the Doug Stewart Show. What's your name? Where you calling from? What you want to talk about?
Doug Stewart, what's good, man? This is Trey Frazier from the Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast.
Trey Frazier from the Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. What up, folks?
What's good, man? What's good, man? I talked pretty big about my Maryland Terps yesterday, man. And
whoa. I'm glad you brought that up. Trey. I'm glad that you're a man of honor. I'm glad that you're a man of honor. So yesterday, Trey, I think the quote that you made was not only was Maryland going to win yesterday in the tournament and beating Xavier, but you said Maryland might win the whole thing. Is that what you said?
No. I said that Maryland was going to beat the snot out of Xavier.
Right. That's it. You said Maryland was going to not only beat them, but beat the snot out of them.
Yes, I did, sir.
And didn't I tell you? Didn't I say yesterday that I'm going to write this down? I'm going to write this down so that we could revisit this today. Didn't I say that? Didn't I say that, Trey?
No, you said that, man. You said it. Hey, props to you, man. You called it. I tried to talk big about them, and they didn't come through for me, man.
So was that a case of just a fan being a fan, a guy that lives in the DMV area, just trying to support his team, his local team, or what?
A little bit of both. The Terps had a pretty good season. They started off hot, and they've kind of been self-destructing over the last few games. They got into that Big Ten tournament against Northwestern, and congrats to Northwestern, because I thought that was a team that might just be happy to just be in a tournament for the first time in team history, but they've actually been playing some pretty good basketball, in between the Big Ten tournament and now yesterday's game. So shouts out to Northwestern on that front. But Maryland over the last, I'd say, 5 or 6 games, I think they're maybe 2-3 or 1-4 in that stretch. They just haven't had a really good stretch of games. So in the back of my mind, on one side, I thought that there was a chance that they would have a second half like they did yesterday. Just not the problem with them is that they can't get in the paint enough. They always settle for the outside shot. I love Melo Trembo. He's a junior point guard for the Terps. Looks like it's going to be his last year with the school, and I hope if he wants to get drafted in the NBA, I hope he stays one more year. Yeah. Just so he could for himself and to the NBA that he can be a legitimate, solid starting point guard in the league.
We talked to my man Trey from the Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast, which hopefully we'll have here back on SME here in a while, where we're starting to do live programming now. But you know what? When I saw this matchup, Xavier versus Maryland, I'm an ACC guy, but I don't watch a lot of Maryland basketball. I do know about Melo Trimble. He's kind of like the guy they talk about a lot for that program. But Xavier, man, if you follow the tournament, over the last couple of years, man, Xavier has been solid as hell. And usually they've been kind of like a giant killer. And I just thought, man, I wouldn't – for the most part, I always go with the ACC team in the first round when they're a favorite. But whenever you're talking about the Xavier Musketeers, man, over the last couple of years, they've been giant killers.
Yes, they have. Much props to Xavier for a well-played game. Nice game plan that they put out there yesterday. They basically just said, look, if they're not going to, pound the paint on us, we could easily defend these guys and just force the Terps to take tough shots on the perimeter. Shouts out to Xavier for doing that.
That's what's up. Hey, Trey, man, appreciate it, man. Holla at my man Maestro.
Hey,
Tell
Doug,
us what's up.
Hey, Doug, one more thing. I know you were mentioning about Minnesota being one of those cities where the sports teams
Right.